Hello, boys and girls. It's Miss Johnson. We're back today for a special story and a little bit of phonics before we get started. So today we're going to review a rule that we've talked a lot about before, and that is when we add inflections, that means endings, to base words, and what we do to those words when we add an ending. So we have a rule that we've talked a lot about. If the word has a short vowel followed by one consonant sound, what do? That equals we double the last letter of the word. Okay? So as a review today, a lot of the words we're going to spell, you're going to have to think about that rule so that you'll get the spelling correct. All right. So how about we go ahead and try our first word while Miss Johnson's erasing the board. What if we had the word swimming? She likes swimming in the pond. Okay, so let's tap that out first by asking ourselves, what is the root word, the base word? Swim. Tap that out and then add the ending ing. You may use a board or a piece of paper and pencil. Whiteboard, piece of paper, and pencil, your choice. Go ahead and do swimming. All right, let's check your answer. Hopefully you spelled the root word swim, sw-im, and then you asked yourself, oh, did this follow Miss Johnson's rule? Sw-I, I have a short vowel. It's followed by one consonant, the letter M, so we should have doubled the M and added the ing. And that's the correct spelling for swimming. All right, let's try our next word and keep that rule in mind. Our next word today is rotten. The apple was rotten, so I didn't eat it. Now let's think about our root word for rotten. Rot. Rot. Now spell the entire word. Rotten. Rotten. Here's our root word. Rot. Then you heard Miss Johnson say 10. Okay. Short vowel O followed by one consonant, so I double the T, and this is a little tricky. It's N. That should have been a short E and an N. Now, if you accidentally wrote an I here, hopefully you looked at that ending of that word and you realized, oh, something doesn't look right, okay? And you fixed that and made that a short E. Short E and short I are tricky. Short I usually says I, so Miss Johnson would have had to have said rotten, but I said rotten, All right, let's try one other word. Our next word is, and we can practice this from the last one, hidden. The treasure was hidden under the ocean floor. Hidden. So in my brain, what's the root word? Hid. Id. So we would spell our root word. Now I would like for you to figure out what we're going to do to the ending to change that to hidden. Hidden. When we look at the word, we have a short vowel. That's our symbol for a short vowel, followed by one consonant. So once again, we should have doubled that D, and hopefully you remembered from the last one to add an E in. Hidden. All right. We're going to try one more today. What if we had nodded? The little boy nodded off to sleep while he was on the couch. Nodded. What's your root word? Nod. Nod. Spell that first. Now change it to nod-ed. Odd. Short O followed by one consonant. So what do? We double that D and we add ed, that ending ed, nodded. Maybe sometime this week you guys can practice a few more words where we add ed and ing, or er or en. Er is also one of our inflections, our endings. Okay, and just remember how to practice that rule. Miss Johnson got some of those words from one of your spelling word lists in your workbook 6 that I dropped off at your house this past week. All right, let's move on to our story for today. Our story for today is going to be called Franklin is Messy. Now, I know many of you have seen the cartoon of Franklin, maybe on television, maybe on YouTube. Maybe you have some Franklin books, or you might have seen some in our classroom. I chose this story today, though, because I was thinking about how much time that we were having to spend at home with the quarantine going on and the coronavirus. So this kind of hit home, because when we hear this story today, we're going to find out what problem Franklin had, and we're going to see how he solved his problem of being messy. And at the end of the book, Miss Johnson's going to give you a writing challenge. All right. Franklin is Messy by Paulette Bourgeois, illustrator Brenda Clark. Now, before I read our Franklin story, in your brain, you should already be coming up and using your metacognition and thinking about your thinking. What's this book going to actually be about? Who are the characters going to be? Is it informational text? Is it make-believe? Okay. In my mind, I'm already saying, okay, I know Franklin is a character that talks. That's a turtle. So that's not real. So I know this is going to be a make-believe story. And we know make-believe stories have a beginning, a middle, and an end. And they have characters and a setting. I can already tell from the front of the book that Franklin appears to be at his home in his bedroom. And I know he's going to be the main character of our story. And it appears by looking at the cover of the book that he definitely has a messy room. Now in your brain, think about the word that's the opposite of messy. If you don't have a messy room, you have a, hopefully you said clean. Well, let's see what happens in our story. It appears on the title page that Franklin looks like he's dressed up. Franklin could count forwards and backwards. He could zip zippers and button buttons. He could tie his shoes and count by twos. But Franklin was so messy that he could hardly ever find his things, even his special things. One day, Franklin searched for his sword. It was special because he had made it himself from cardboard and wood and string. Franklin needed it to play knights in armor with his friends. He looked all over. He found a bag of marbles that he thought he'd lost. He found a brown apple core. He even found his favorite baseball hat. But Franklin couldn't find his sword. An old apple core? Oh no. I don't think we're supposed to have old yucky food left in our rooms. Have you seen my sword? Franklin asked his mother. Franklin's mother looked around his room. She shook her head. All I see is a big mess. Please tidy this room before you go out to play. Now in your brain, think about what tidy means. It's another word for clean. Franklin muttered to himself, why all this fuss about a little mess? He had more important things to worry about. He might miss playing knights. Franklin hurried. He opened his closet and heaped an armful of books inside. He piled all of his blocks in the middle of his room. He threw his hat in the corner and he put the apple core in a drawer. All done, he said to himself, but still, he hadn't found his sword. Now, as a reader, I should be thinking in my brain about what's just happened. His mom asked him to tidy his room before he went to play. And let's think about what he did. He threw books in the closet. He left blocks in the middle of his room. He put an apple core in a drawer. I don't know about you, but I don't think he quite did what he was told. I don't think that's quite tidying your room. By the time Franklin reached Bear's house, his friends were already playing knights. Bear slashed the air with his sword. Beaver lunged at evil dragons. "Hurry, Franklin," shouted Bear. "We need you." And there's Bear's shield. It says, "Sir Bear." "I can't," whispered Franklin. The game stopped. "Why not?" they asked. "I don't have my sword," said Franklin. Bear was disappointed. "But how can we play knights without swords?" he asked. Franklin looked around. He found a stick on the ground. "I'll use this," he said. They fought dragons all afternoon. "Tomorrow," said Franklin, "I will have my own sword. Then we can save Lady Beaver from a fire-breathing dragon. We are courageous, Sir Franklin and Sir Bear." Beaver slapped her tail down hard. "I don't want to be saved. I want to be a brave knight too." "All right," said Franklin, "you can be Sir Lady Beaver, and together we will save the king." "You're going to need your special sword," said Bear. "Of course," said Franklin. So now Franklin's made a promise to his friends that he's going to have that special sword back. When Franklin got home, his father was annoyed. Now think about, by looking at the picture, what you think annoyed means. Check out his father's face. Hopefully you got mad from annoyed. "I found this in your drawer," he said, holding the apple core. "That's not where it belongs. And I found this hat on the floor. That's not where it belongs either." Franklin threw the apple in the garbage, and he hung up his hat. Why all this fuss about a little mess? Goose came by. She was looking for a puzzle that she had loaned to Franklin. Now, loaned, what would that mean? She had loaned it to Franklin. Maybe, let's see what happens next. "Can I please have my puzzle back?" she said. Okay, so she's loaned it. It belonged to her. That means she let Franklin borrow it. Franklin looked. His room was such a mess that he couldn't see the puzzle among the books and the crayons and the blocks. Maybe it's in my closet," said Franklin. Now, before I turn the page, I want you to think about what's about to happen. Think about what Franklin did with his closet earlier. Franklin opened his closet door. It was messy in there too. He stepped inside. Crunch! It was a very loud noise. As a good reader, I'm thinking, what could have crunched? What could have been under his feet that he messed up? Franklin's parents came rushing in. "Are you all right?" they asked. "I'm all right," said Franklin, "but my sword isn't." He held up the shattered pieces. "What a mess," Franklin said sadly. "Maybe you need more places to put your things," said Franklin's mother. So let's stop and think. Instead of getting mad at Franklin or being angry, they realize that Franklin truly has a problem. He just doesn't know where to put everything. They found some boxes down in their basement, and they painted them, and they named them Toy Box, Costume Box, Block Box, Puzzle Box. They put books on the bookshelf, and then they put a special hook on the back of his door for a new sword. The tidying up took a long time, but it wasn't so bad because Franklin found lots of things that he thought he'd lost. Goose's puzzle, his own favorite purple crayon, and enough cardboard, wood, and string to make a new sword and even a new shield. Now, I want you to check out his closet now and notice the difference. The next morning, Franklin dressed in full armor. He was especially proud of his new shield. It said, "Sir Franklin, loyal and brave." "Sir Franklin," said his mother, "I think you forgot something." Franklin's mother whispered in his ear, "Psst, psst, psst, psst." Franklin smiled. They took a crayon and they added 2 more words to his shield. I wonder what they added. Sir Franklin, loyal and brave and neat. Now that we finished the story, I want you to think about your own room and your own space at home where you play and where you live. Is it neat or is it messy? I would encourage all of you this week to try writing to Miss Johnson about just that. Why is it important to keep a neat and tidy room instead of a messy room like Franklin? What are some things you could do to make sure your room is nice and neat? I would love to hear your writings and like to see a picture of them. Maybe you want to change that into an opinion writing. Why you think a mess or a neat room is better than a messy room. Either way, no matter what, anything you write will be very special, but maybe this will give you a few great ideas. Thanks again for watching, and I can't wait to see you guys again soon. Goodbye.